That night, I lay still, eyes shut, caught in a delicate balance between the embrace of slumber and the sharp edge of wakefulness. In the quiet, as a gentle breeze stirred the curtains, I sensed the door creak open without a sound. With my gaze lowered, I softly uttered, "Tristan." I found myself lost in a dream, yet the voice that answered was not Tristan's. In a hushed, trembling voice, Caleb confided, "I can't sleep." I slowly opened my eyes, my gaze drawn to the shadowy outline of skin against the door. The moonlight caressed his shoulder, casting a soft glow that barely revealed his features. Words eluded me, lingering just out of reach. His arrival at my room during these late hours caught me off guard. "Caleb, is there something troubling you?" I inquired softly, a hint of astonishment lacing my words. "I can't say for certain." "I just can't sleep," he murmured as he stepped inside. He approached slowly, and I remained in bed, wrapping the blanket tighter around myself. "What is it that you desire from me? Should I seek out water?" He slowly shook his head, a shadow of uncertainty crossing his features. "I hope I'm not intruding, but I felt the urge to share a few thoughts with you, if that's all right." His voice carried a tremor, a weighty presence enveloping the space. "Leave me be," I murmured, though uncertainty lingered in my voice. "Yet in this quiet moment, is there a thought lingering in your mind?" He let his shoulders fall slightly, a quiet gesture that spoke volumes. For a fleeting moment, his gaze locked with mine, only to quickly drop away into silence. There are moments when a quiet weight settles upon me, as if the world holds its breath, waiting for me to fulfill unspoken expectations. The university, my father, all those around me. Yet in your presence, a certain weight seems to lift away. His words brushed against a hidden part of me, and as I sought to grasp their meaning, I shifted ever so slightly, my hand finding its way to the edge of the bed. "Come, take a seat," I murmured, as if drawn by an unseen force. "Are you prepared, dear narrator? This tale unfolds in a way that is anything but ordinary. We embark on a journey where feelings intertwine and boundaries begin to unravel. If this is your first encounter with such a confession, linger a moment longer, subscribe, and ensure those notifications are turned on. This tale will unfold in ways you never anticipated." He lingered in uncertainty before finally taking a seat beside me. He sat in silence for a moment, a youthful tension coursing through him as his hands rested on his knees. Then, he began to speak softly. "My dad loves me, I know," he said, his eyes drifting away, as if the truth hung heavy in the air between us. Yet there are moments when I sense an unsettling distance, as if I am an outsider in his realm. Caleb's words wrapped around me, leaving me in a state of quiet astonishment. He had always worn a cheerful facade, a hint of mischief dancing in his eyes, a young man who appeared to drift through life without a care. It dawned on me, slowly, that a quiet turmoil lay just beneath the surface. Caleb hesitated for a moment, his voice barely rising above a breath, as if sharing a secret meant only for the stillness around him, and if I never sensed the distance between us. His words lingered softly, reverberating in the quietude. Caleb's words lingered in the air, elusive and haunting. A peculiar weight settled within my chest. My gaze remained averted as if drawn away by an unseen force. My heart raced, a quiet urgency thrumming beneath the surface, yet I lacked the bravery to delve into the reasons behind it. "Caleb," I murmured softly, entering my room at this hour murmuring such words. "Perhaps it's not quite as it should be. Solitude might be what you truly need right now. What if solitude isn't what I seek?" Drenia responded without hesitation. His voice carried a challenge, yet beneath it lingered a subtle plea. In that fleeting instant, a quiet realization washed over me. I understood the necessity of gathering my thoughts. "Listen," I murmured, my voice steady yet soft. "In that stillness, let your mind wander to what is true and just. I am your stepmother. Engaging in this dialogue feels like stepping into the shadows." My words slipped into the air as he turned to gaze in my direction. The look in his eyes held a haunting blend of fragility and dread. "Sophia," he murmured. His voice, soft yet haunting, wrapped around my name and sent a shiver down my spine. I never wished to sense that this was amiss. Yet, in the quiet moments when you occupy my thoughts, I find myself lost in a maze of uncertainty, struggling to grasp the reality of it all. That was the moment I should have intervened. I could have spoken up, but the moment slipped away, leaving a lingering tension in the air. I should have urged him to step away from the shadows. Yet, I refrained. For beneath that gaze, I found myself compelled to face the depths of my own emotions. In the shadows of the room, Caleb's face emerged, sharp and defined. His expression lingered in a delicate balance caught between the innocence of a child and the intricate depths of an adult man. "May I find rest beside you, even for a moment?" Drinia inquired softly. For a fleeting moment, I found myself enveloped in silence, caught off guard. I hesitated to delve into the significance of his words. I ought to have perceived him merely as the troubled boy in search of assistance. With a quiet inhale, I steeled myself, striving to hold on to my composure. "Certainly," I murmured softly. "If it brings you comfort, you may remain here." He settled quietly on the far side of the bed, a sense of anticipation hanging in the air. I wrapped the blanket tighter, seeking a sense of grounding in the quiet stillness. A quiet unease settled within me, yet I held the role of his stepmother. He was merely a boy of 19 years. I reached for my phone, seeking a momentary escape from the weight of my thoughts. A message lingered from Tristan. "I won't be returning tonight. I'll remain in the office throughout the night." The moment I read that message, a deeper sense of unease settled within me. If Tristan were here, the uncertainty of this situation would dissolve into clarity. Yet, I found myself drawn into the depths of Caleb's sensitivity, needing to navigate my response with careful consideration. "Are you all right?" Drinia inquired softly, her gaze shifting to meet his. "Being here with you stirs something deep within me," he murmured, his voice barely above a breath. His voice resonated with a depth I hadn't anticipated. We lingered in quietude for a moment. He murmured the same words over and over, each repetition hanging in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. "He's merely a boy. I must assist him in navigating the shadows of his situation." Yet, a subtle shift caught my attention, and I startled. Caleb edged nearer, the air thick with unspoken tension. He approached quietly, his arm gliding over me, a gentle brush against my back that sent a shiver through the stillness. My heart quickened, yet I remained motionless. "Caleb." "Drania," I murmured softly. "What are you up to?" "I'm cold," he murmured. Yet, there lingered a quality in his tone that suggested it transcended mere chilliness. I inhaled slowly, feeling the weight of the moment settle around me. I had to approach this with utmost care. He was so young, perhaps lost in a whirlwind of emotions, grappling with the weight of his thoughts. Could this truly be innocent, or was there something lurking beneath the surface? I attempted to persuade myself of that as I lay there, utterly still. The intimacy wrapped around me, leaving a lingering uncertainty deep within. My heart raced, a frantic rhythm echoing in the silence, while my thoughts danced just out of reach, elusive and fragmented. I found myself repeating softly to my thoughts, "I must put an end to this," yet my body remains still, trapped in a moment of uncertainty. "Sophia?" "Drania," he spoke softly. His voice resonated within me, a subtle tremor that lingered in the silence. It lingered in the shadows, impossible to dismiss. Caleb's arm drew me closer, a subtle grip that spoke volumes in the stillness of the moment. His warm breath grazed my neck, sending a shiver down my spine. With my eyes shut tight, I lingered in the stillness, contemplating my next move. A tempest raged within my soul. Is this merely a gentle connection, or is there something more lurking beneath the surface? Drinia. I found myself lost in thought, grappling with the elusive truth that lingered just out of reach. As his breath steadied, a quiet realization washed over me he had drifted into slumber. Yet for me, slumber remained an elusive dream. My heart raced, each thump resonating in the stillness, as if it could fill the entire room with its rhythm. A quiet storm brewed within me, a deep-seated frustration that lingered in the shadows of my thoughts. What is it about this that weighs so heavily on my mind? What is it that makes me feel this way? Yet the realization of his youth, his vibrant energy, stirred a sense of unease within me. This intimacy, This must be pure, untainted. Eventually, as I wandered through my tangled thoughts, a heavy weariness enveloped me, and in a quiet moment I drifted into slumber as well. As the soft glow of sunlight crept into the room, I slowly opened my eyes, feeling the weight of the moment linger in the air. A subtle pressure lingered against my arm. Caleb lay in a deep slumber, the world around him fading into silence. His serene visage, reminiscent of a child, held a certain purity that felt almost fragile. Yet, in that moment, I understood that my unease stemmed from something deeper than mere innocence. There lay a depth shrouded in shadows, waiting to be uncovered. With a cautious grace, I shifted my arm and slipped out of bed. As I rose, my gaze fell upon him once more. His towering frame, the strength of his shoulders, and the sharpness of his features linger in the shadows. It was hard to ignore the subtle transformations that had taken place within him since our paths first crossed. I spoke softly to myself. He carries himself with a maturity that feels almost palpable, far more mature than I had anticipated. A fleeting tremor stirred within me, a quiet unease intertwined with an unspoken awareness that lingered just out of reach. I gently shook it, slipping a light jacket over my shirt before quietly leaving the room. With each step down the stairs, I inhaled slowly, feeling the weight of the moment settle around me. He moves through the morning with an air of normalcy, yet beneath the surface, something lingers, unspoken and heavy. I whispered to myself. I found myself seeking a diversion. I slipped into the kitchen, the air thick with unspoken thoughts. As I moved through the quiet kitchen, the act of preparing breakfast felt like a delicate distraction, a way to occupy both my hands and my wandering thoughts. Yet my mind lingered on Caleb, hidden away upstairs, his drowsy visage, his aura lingering in the shadows. Thoughts lingered in the silence of my mind, an unsettling presence that wrapped around me. I found myself caught in a loop, the same words echoing softly in the stillness. It was merely a fleeting instant, shrouded in misunderstanding. All is well. This feels pure. I won't embellish the truth. As I stepped into the kitchen, a quiet anticipation filled the air as I started to prepare breakfast. As I absorbed the soft hum of the coffee maker, an unsettling image of Caleb lingered in my thoughts, haunting the quiet of the house. I found myself needing to gather my thoughts once more. All is as it should be. Maintain your composure. I spoke softly. In that moment, Tristan's voice enveloped me, drowning out everything else. "Morning, my dear." He emerged at the door, his weary expression barely breaking the silence. For a fleeting moment, I stood still, uncertainty wrapping around me like a shroud. I hesitantly shaped my lips into a smile. "Morning," I whispered back. Tristan drew near, his lips brushing softly against my cheek. His proximity deepened the unease within me. The air is filled with an enticing aroma, lingering softly around me. "Is breakfast nearly prepared?" Drinia inquired softly, her voice carrying a hint of curiosity as she always did. "Is it almost ready?" I spoke, my voice sharper than I intended. As Tristan slipped away from the kitchen, his voice lingered in the air, barely echoing behind him. "I'll rest quietly in the living room until that moment arrives. I'm utterly drained." He stepped into the living room and a tightness gripped my chest. What if I quietly approach and find Caleb in the room? What should I express? How can I put this into words? As Tristan's footsteps approached the living room, I released a quiet, heavy breath. For the moment, I would remain grounded, lingering in the shadows of uncertainty. I quietly arranged the breakfast table, each item placed with careful thought. Yet, my hands trembled ever so slightly. I took every precaution to ensure that Tristan remained oblivious to the truth. As I glanced into the living room, there he was, sprawled on the sofa, surrendering to sleep in an instant. The gentle rhythm of his breath offered a fleeting sense of solace. For the moment, I found a fragile sense of security, I mused. Yet the turmoil within me remained, a quiet storm that refused to settle. This cannot continue in this manner. A quiet urge stirs within me, beckoning for action. As I set the cup of coffee down on the table, a whirlwind of thoughts swirled quietly within me. Caleb remained awake, and Tristan had arrived. A quiet urgency stirred within me, compelling me to grasp the reins of the unfolding events. But how? As the morning light crept in, Caleb slipped quietly into the kitchen, careful not to disturb Tristan, who remained lost in his dreams. As we sat at the breakfast table, the casual smile on his face sent a shiver down my spine, stirring an unsettling feeling within me. My hands wrapped around the warm cup of coffee, and I struggled to engage in his conversation, striving for a semblance of normalcy. "You're very beautiful today, Sophia," he murmured, his voice barely breaking the silence. His tone, laced with an unsettling confidence, seemed far too mature for someone so young. My gaze fell upon him, almost against my will. He seemed on the verge of revealing something deeper, yet he remained silent, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. "Thank you, Caleb," I murmured, striving to maintain a steady and resolute tone. A fleeting hush enveloped the air. He started to gently pierce the eggs on his plate with the fork, his voice barely rising above a murmur as he added, "I hope your day isn't too hectic. If you find yourself in need of assistance, feel free to reach out to me." His expression held a gravity that lingered in the air, while the timbre of his voice sent a shiver down my spine. "There are far more pressing matters awaiting your attention at school," I murmured. His words, though wrapped in courtesy, lingered in the air, leaving an unsettling weight in their wake. A subtle sense of relief washed over me as he took hold of his bag and moved toward the door. Yet even in that moment, an unsettling sensation lingered deep within my chest. This boy is experiencing something unusual, isn't he? Once Caleb slipped away from the house, Tristan stirred from his slumber, the clock striking noon. He savored a quiet breakfast, the world outside still shrouded in morning stillness, before preparing to step into the day ahead. Once he departed, an eerie stillness enveloped the house. That night, we gathered around the dinner table, voices low and careful, each word cloaked in an unspoken tension, as if the air itself held secrets we dared not reveal. I went through the motions, masking the weight of the moment beneath a facade of normalcy. Yet, as darkness enveloped the world, an unsettling tension returned, creeping into the air. Tristan's phone rang, a soft sound that pierced the stillness. His closest companion, Derek, found himself in a tragic mishap, now confined within the sterile walls of the hospital. Tristan felt an urgent pull to depart without delay. As he prepared, he leaned in, his lips brushing against mine, and murmured softly, "Don't worry, honey. I will return at the earliest moment possible." I followed him to the door, watching as he stepped outside, then quietly secured the door behind him. The weight of solitude pressed upon me, an unsettling presence that lingered in the shadows. It felt like there was a presence in the house with me. Yet in that moment, an overwhelming sense of solitude enveloped me. As I stepped back into the room, I lingered at the threshold. My gaze lingered on the lock. Should I secure it? What if he returns to this place? I gently shook my head, seeking an escape from that moment. "That's enough, Sophia. He's merely a boy. What could possibly lead you to ponder such thoughts?" Yet, despite my efforts to push it away, the thought lingered, haunting the corners of my mind. I slipped beneath the covers, carefully smoothing the delicate sheet over my body, seeking a fragile sense of security in the stillness of the night. I shut my eyes, yet the unease lingered, refusing to fade into the shadows. The night enveloped everything in a hushed embrace, yet within that stillness lay an unsettling tension, as if the very absence of sound held the deepest secrets and dangers. Caleb emerged in my thoughts, approaching with a resolute gaze that held a world of unspoken intentions. A shiver coursed through me as I grasped just how near I truly was. The turmoil within me deepened, expanding until, for a fleeting moment, I found myself lost, uncertain of the path I was meant to take. What is happening? In that fleeting instant, Caleb drew closer, his gaze unwavering, locked onto mine, and I sensed the tremor of fear and uncertainty mirrored in my own. I stepped back, my voice barely escaping my lips, quivering with uncertainty. "Hush, Caleb." My voice quivered softly, yet the underlying fear was unmistakable. "I am your stepmother. How could one even entertain such a thought?" Caleb stood still, his eyes widening in quiet astonishment. His approach halted suddenly, yet the weight of the silence and tension between us thickened, enveloping us in an unspoken anticipation. This was impossible. It seemed utterly impossible. My thoughts were spiraling into disarray. I gazed at him, aware that my face betrayed a blend of uncertainty and trepidation, revealing just how uneasy I truly felt. Why would I ever entertain such a thought? A sense of disorientation enveloped me. Caleb exhaled softly, his breath a mix of serenity and unease. His gaze lingered on me, unwavering and intense. He stepped back, a quiet tension hanging in the air, creating an unsettling distance between us. Yet the atmosphere was thick with an unspoken weight, as if it echoed softly in every corner of the room. "I have something to share, Caleb," I murmured, my voice quivering with uncertainty. As I gazed at you that quiet morning, your peaceful slumber enveloping the room, a revelation began to stir within me. "You've left childhood behind. You're so grown up." My words lingered in the air, caught in a delicate balance, yet the weight of my emotions pressed too heavily to remain unspoken any longer. Emotion welled within me, yet I struggled to grasp the elusive words that danced just beyond my reach. As I gazed at him, I felt the weight of his stare, unwavering and intense. Yet, uncertainty lingered in the shadows, leaving me in a quiet turmoil of indecision. It goes beyond mere numbers. It's the essence of you, the very form you inhabit. You've crossed a threshold, leaving childhood behind. I pressed on, seeking to articulate the tangled web of my thoughts. I once saw you as a child, and I welcomed you into my bed, unaware of the shadows that lingered in the corners of my mind. Yet, as I reflect on the past, a quiet understanding settles in how misguided that choice truly was. As I reflect on it, a chill runs through me, revealing the peril that loomed over us both. Your secret is safe with me. I won't breathe a word to your father. I spoke with a measured cadence, each word deliberate and resolute. You're quite remarkable, and I can only imagine the admiration you receive at the university. However, in return for my discretion, you will need to stay with your aunt for a time. It's not meant for you to linger here. Can you grasp the meaning hidden beneath the surface? Caleb lingered in silence, his head gradually bowing as if weighed down by unspoken thoughts. His eyes held a deep, haunting regret. "Please, don't tell Dad," he murmured, his voice quivering with uncertainty. "I deeply regret what has happened. I will take refuge with my aunt. I swear it." His face revealed a complex tapestry of emotions, shadows of fear, whispers of regret, and perhaps a fleeting hint of emptiness lurking beneath the surface. Yet, beneath the surface, an unspoken presence lingered, elusive and beyond the reach of language. Alice pondered quietly within her own mind. What if she had harbored a secret longing for Caleb? What if she had erred in her choice? She inhaled slowly, the air heavy with unspoken thoughts. Her thoughts lingered, pressing down like a shadow in the stillness. Indeed, her vibrant spirit and youthful exuberance left me in a state of bewilderment. Despite her best efforts to maintain control, a fleeting moment of vulnerability or inner turmoil might have altered the course of it all. Yet, I believe I navigated it with a certain grace. Regardless of my actions, I found solace in the belief that I chose wisely. For a fleeting moment, she turned inward, reliving the events in her mind, each detail echoing softly in the shadows of her thoughts. All is well. Indeed, it was peculiar and demanding, yet now it has come to an end. Caleb moved in with his aunt, and for now, all seems well. A sense of confusion lingers, yet for the moment, a quiet assurance wraps around me, suggesting that all is as it should be. Alice lingered in silence, a breath escaping her lips, heavy with unspoken thoughts. "Everything is fine," she murmured, a fragile calm enveloping her words. Little did she know the shadows that loomed ahead. As the days passed, a quiet stillness settled in. Initially, Caleb would visit the house occasionally, yet with each passing moment, his demeanor grew increasingly ordinary. Silence enveloped the space, a heavy stillness replacing the unsettling words and actions that once lingered. All appeared to drift back into a familiar rhythm. As the school holidays approached, the return of Caleb stirred a quiet sense of relief within me. In those quiet moments, it became evident that he had transformed in ways unseen. He moved with a quiet assurance, his demeanor reflecting a deeper understanding of the world around him. It seemed we had drifted far from those charged moments. Caleb's return lingered in the air, a quiet challenge for Alice to confront. In those 5 months, she had quietly assured herself that everything must remain as it should be. And when Caleb returned, an unspoken shift lingered in the air. He carried himself with a newfound maturity, a quiet calmness enveloping him. Gone were the days of peculiar advances and unsettling actions. Alice breathed a quiet sigh as she noticed the familiar ease returning to Caleb's demeanor. Everything has slipped back into its familiar rhythm, Alice pondered quietly. Caleb has come to a quiet realization, grasping the boundaries that surround him, and has embraced the reality of his circumstances. The lingering unease has vanished entirely. Alice paused, her breath catching in the stillness, a moment stretching into something profound. Perhaps this was the most fitting resolution, she pondered quietly. Time quietly unraveled it all. Now it exists as an ordinary bond between a stepmother and her stepson. Yet beneath the surface, complexities linger in the shadows. For a time, I believed all was well. With Tristan away on his business trip for a week, a quiet sense of relief washed over me, enveloping my thoughts in a stillness I hadn't anticipated. At last, a moment of solitude. A serene ambiance envelops me, allowing the weight of my burdens to slowly dissolve into the air. Caleb's recent demeanor, marked by a newfound maturity, enveloped me in a sense of calm that I hadn't anticipated. Reluctantly, I found myself acknowledging that the journey we endured led us in some quiet way to a more profound understanding of our existence. In the stillness of that night, a creeping unease settled over me. I believed we were shielded, yet an unseen shadow loomed, catching me off guard. Once Tristan departed, the stillness of the house enveloped me, stirring an unsettling sense of peace within. As I drifted into slumber, a peculiar sensation enveloped me, leaving an unsettling weight in the stillness of the night. I found myself lost in uncertainty, unable to grasp the essence of it. In the stillness of the night, I was pulled from a deep slumber by a faint sound that lingered in the shadows. A door slowly creaked open, the sound lingering in the stillness, followed by the soft echo of footsteps approaching. A figure approached my door, each step echoing softly in the stillness. My eyes fluttered open, and there it was, a shadow gliding silently across the room. In that fleeting instant, it seemed as though my heart had ceased to beat. Caleb lingered in the shadows of my room. I had quietly shut the door after he left. A chilling tide of dread washed over me. Why at this moment? Why must it be this way? I found myself in a haze of uncertainty, yet somehow I felt a strange sense of calm within the confusion. A sense of helplessness enveloped me, yet I remained quiet. I needed to tread lightly with this. "Caleb," I murmured, my voice trembling with unease, even as I fought to mask it with a facade of courage. "What brings you to this place?" His gaze lingered on me, and the serenity in his voice deepened the unease that settled in my chest. "Yes, Sophia," he murmured, as though this were merely an everyday occurrence. "I long to share my thoughts, to be close to you in this quiet moment." A quiet surge of tension coursed through me. What was he attempting to achieve? What could have driven him to alter everything in such a fleeting moment? The depth in his gaze sent a shiver through me. He moved with a quiet resolve, an unshakable confidence that hinted at a journey into the unknown, where boundaries blurred and possibilities lingered in the shadows. He edged forward, the air thick with unspoken tension. His gaze lingered on me, a silent intensity hanging in the air. In that fleeting instant, every part of me, every heartbeat, pushed back against him, yet he drew nearer, an unsettling proximity that sent shivers down my spine. Reluctance gripped me as I felt the urge to retreat, a quiet instinct pulling me away from the edge. "Caleb, please," I urged, my voice trembling with an unspoken tension. "I'm not prepared for this. Please." I was screaming within, yet my voice emerged steady, resolute. Tomorrow night, everything will change. I will be with you, just not at this moment." I clung to the edges of my resolve, attempting to escape that room, my gaze lingering on him, heavy with unspoken tension. My emotions swirled in a tempest of uncertainty and defiance, pulling away even as an unseen force beckoned me nearer. Dear listener, if your curiosity stirs and you yearn to uncover what unfolds next, remember to subscribe and activate notifications, ensuring you remain in the loop for every new tale that whispers to be told. Your words and gestures linger in the shadows, quietly igniting the spark that compels me to continue my craft. Share with me the country that resonates with you so deeply. I am curious to learn more. Listen closely for what comes next. It approaches quietly, lingering in the shadows.